listeners. It's Thursday, August 25th, 2016. I'm Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and Change, broadcasting from a gray gem city, reaching out to Indianapolis. The lovely and talented Steve Wiltfong, Director of Recruiting for 24/7 Sports, makes his weekly appearance. Steve, how are you this fine morning?
Good morning, Daniel. Got my smoothie in hand. Going to hit the LA Fitness a little bit later today. It's a good morning here. The tornadoes went around me. We had some serious tornado action yesterday here in Naptown, but all is well today, my friend.
LA Fitness, a lot of guys do putting gel in their hair before they work out there, just saying. But anyway, I digress.
Not at the one I go to.
All right. Monday was an enormous day here for everybody in the state, obviously, as we all were ready for Tyjon Lindsey to commit, and he went Hollywood on us, and he and Trevon Grimes committed during a dodgeball video of some sort. The result being a 10-star Monday. Obviously, that caught us a little bit off guard. We haven't spoken to Steve on the show here since that happened. Kind of your impressions on Monday and kind of putting a bow on the recruitment of those two fantastic wideouts.
I think we all thought they'd be going to Ohio State. We thought that for months. When Tate Martell committed to Ohio State, I made a post on the front row that I was still more confident Tyjon Lindsey was going to go to Ohio State, just to kind of put into perspective that it's no surprise. And then Trevon Grimes I thought was a bigger lean than Tyjon. So no surprise, for Trevon Grimes, it basically was a marriage proposal. You knew he was going to propose. The only thing he had was the surprise, and good for him for saying Wednesday and then sneaking it in on a Monday. That's all you can do when you're a lean for so long and you want some element of a surprise, which obviously he did, and he pulled it off for the most part, although kudos to the poster on the front row who dropped that info to Bucknuts readers the night before, saying he saw the video and it was awesome. So shout out to that guy. But
Salvoy in the house.
Tyjon's an instant impact guy as long as he's healthy. He's just so dynamic in space. He's got tremendous ball skills. He's the perfect fit for Ohio State's offense with the way he plays the game, and he's just a consummate competitor, huge competitor. So I call him the TD maker. He's going to play as a true freshman. Grimes has obviously got some very talented dudes in front of him. He'll come into the receiver room and push that room, but may have to wait his turn a little bit. And I understand Grimes is ranked higher than Lindsey, and he certainly has more upside, especially when you start talking the NFL. But when you just start talking about them as college players, I love Tyjon Lindsey, and I think he'll play in the opener next year.
If you look at the receiver room they're building, and we'll move on to some other stuff here, but I think there was some concern about the overall talent level of the receivers. Now, provided everyone comes back next year, who should come back by eligibility, you're talking about a room with, Noah Brown, Benjamin Victor, Austin Mack, Torrance Gibson, Tyjon Lindsey, and Trevon Grimes. I'm not exaggerating when I say there are some NFL teams that would take that, but they're a little young.
There's some serious athleticism in that group. It's some serious upside, but there's some guys that are certainly going to need some polishing and some coaching, so Zach Smith's going to earn his money with that group as well.
No doubt. He's got the clay, though. Just got to mold it. All right, I have to admit, this surprised me. We've talked about 2017 and how tight it is. Buckeyes have 18 commitments, and every commitment after this, we expect to be someone, Mount Rushmore-ish. Then we see an offer yesterday, tight end Josh Fallow out of Sacramento. Not a name that I'm super familiar with. I have to assume if they offer him this late in the process, he's an excellent player. He's got a chance to see everybody. Give us your report on Fallow as the player, and then how you think, kind of where this offer caught you.
Well, we love Josh Fallow at 24/7 Sports. We have him ranked as the number 2 tight end in America, number 59 player overall, number 8 in California. I saw Josh Fallow at the opening, watched him before it, and then saw him at the opening. When he walked in the room, I was like, man, that's what you want your your tight end prospect to look like? And then Colby Parkinson walked in the room after him, and I was like, damn, that's what you want your tight end prospect to look like. No disrespect to Josh. We have Colby as a 5-star. He's committed to Stanford, but Josh has got a special skill set, 6'5", 227 pounds, is a guy that can stretch the field, be that vertical threat, and another playmaker in your passing game. I have a crystal ball in Oregon. That dates back to my conversation with Josh at the opening. Oregon needing tight ends as much as anybody in this class. They do have a couple committed, but not sure they'll both stick. But Josh Fowler would be at the top of the Ducks board anyway. But Alabama certainly in there. Michigan was pushing hard for Josh. Ohio State, when they offer this late, you figure they got a puncher's chance to at least get an official visit, so we'll see what happens. I'm kind of following, the visits with Josh here moving forward.
That's good to know. I mean, obviously, for those who have watched or paid attention to Bucknuts for the first few weeks, tight end not the most solid room at Ohio State. Marcus Ball,
two good ones.
Spotlight. Right. Hausman and Farrell this year, yep.
Yeah, Ball's a California kid, so maybe that'll have some sort of effect on Josh, and Ball's a future pro, right? So, we'll see.
We'd hope. I mean, Ball has not been able to maximize his potential while he's been here. I still have high hopes for him, and in terms of from a talent perspective, he certainly checks the box.
I think they do in the Woody, too, because I didn't just pull that out of thin air. I was kind of a story a while ago that I did on Ohio State, just kind of talking about who the future pros are still on the roster, and his name came up next to like the Taekwon Lewises and the Raekwon McMillans and the Jerry and Conleys of the world. So Pat Eiflin, so those guys, I think that inside the Woody, and this was months ago. So, but that people were still high on his potential.
We're getting to the point though where if you commit to Ohio State, you're a future pro. But Marcus was definitely in, and let's see if they have any success hooking another California tight end. Ball committed sight unseen, so we'll see if Follow has that kind of interest. I doubt a guy that's that highly recruited is going to commit to him without checking it out, but we will check on that, and we will stay on top of that. One name we've stayed on top of for quite some time, Leonard Taylor, the class of 2018 defensive end, tight end, possible future defensive tackle out of Springfield here, about 30 minutes from where I'm sitting. Once committed to Michigan. Even when he committed to Michigan, there were many who thought he'd decommit. That has happened. Your vibe on Leonard Taylor, do you think he's a future Buckeye?
I do. I think he's going to go through the process some, but I think if Ohio State wants them, they're very tough to beat for in-state guys that they want. There has to be some kind of unique circumstance that pushes a guy elsewhere, and just because it's fresh in my mind, I mean, Tommy Kramer was going to go to Notre Dame, so before the process started, and Liam Eichenberg is in the same boat. So it has to be like something rare where the kid is a lean somewhere else before the process even starts for Ohio State to lose an in-state guy that they want. So if the Buckeyes push for Leonard Taylor, I can't imagine he'll go anywhere else. And I was shocked when he committed to Michigan, and that's no disrespect to Michigan because they obviously have a great product and a staff that works hard on the trail, and he committed at the spring game, or I think it was either a spring game or a spring practice or something at night inside the big house he committed. And, I texted his coach, Maurice Douglas, right after it, and Coach Mo was surprised that he pulled the trigger. So, I mean, it was only a matter of time, and that's, again, no disrespect to Leonard, but for us that have followed recruiting or covered recruiting for so long, we can almost predict the movements of a kid before they even know it's going to happen because they've never been through it before. But
right.
Most of these young men are similar, and there's only a matter of time, especially he continued to take visits. I mean, like he was taking visits very soon after committing to Michigan. And, hey, you only go through the process once. Handle it however you want to handle it. The decommitment came as no surprise at all. And, we'll see what happens for Leonard moving forward.
Yeah, I will say the Gem City vibe among people that know Leonard is that he'll end up a Buckeye, which is excellent. He is a big dude with a chance to get a lot bigger. But he did commit to Michigan, and he did decommit, and that seems to be a trend recently. Now, this can be coincidental, but I saw Aubrey Solomon decommitted, Amir Mitchell decommitted.
Well, Amir Mitchell got removed, right?
I don't really even know.
Amir Mitchell was on the team already. Okay, so he was already on the team in there, and he's no longer on the team, so that's his own fault. And then
basically, let's do this.
Right.
Do you think this is a problem at Michigan that's taking place, or just kind of a coincidence over the last week?
Well, no, I mean, everybody's got knuckleheads in their program. Just some are bigger knuckleheads than others, and Amir seems to be at the top of the list of being a knucklehead, so he's no longer part of Michigan's program.
What about Aubrey Solomon then?
So Aubrey Solomon's a kid from Georgia. You know as well as anyone that it's hard to keep those guys in the boat, and so Aubrey Solomon comes out and says that he's no longer in Michigan's class because they thanked him for coming to the barbecue and spelt his name wrong twice. But he's still highly considering Michigan. Look, he was decommitting. He got a reason to decommit, and then obviously then it becomes a huge story because it's kind of funny, right? So they were like, oh, they misspelled his name and sent him a letter, so this is fun. It's clickbait. It was a clickbait story, even though Aubrey said it, and Aubrey did say it, but anyone that wrote that story also should have written in the same story, most likely wasn't going to stick because he wasn't, and the quotes are telling beyond that, Georgia's the heavy favorite. Georgia's recruiting at a very high level in state right now, a very high level. And he's a guy they want. So, and again, it's Aubrey can handle it however he wants to handle it, and I'm not judging him. I'm just stating facts that when he committed to Michigan, it was, I still thought, all right, February's a long way away when he committed to Michigan. It was one of those commits where, you raise an eyebrow and say, all right, let's see if that bad boy sticks. And
kind of like Leonard Taylor.
Fair enough. Exactly like Leonard Taylor, but even more so because, Michigan's at least closer to Leonard Taylor's home. Leonard Taylor's high school coaches at least sent people to Michigan. Aubrey Solomon's from Leesburg, Georgia. And so it's the same thing. Ohio State's Ohio State, who is dealing with Sean Wade a little bit. They're battling all the SEC powers to try and keep him in the fold. And that's a wait and see one. Till February. And so I'm not saying Sean Wade won't stick. I'm just saying who's surprised. So if he came out and said something like, "Oh, Ohio State didn't call me enough," it's like
we've been through this with
I'm not saying he would. Right. Well, and that's a whole nother story that's on a different radar. Bruce Judson not being in Ohio State's class has nothing to do with anything we're talking about now. So I just think it wasn't fair to Michigan the way that story was being reported. Michigan football is going to be fine with or without Aubrey Solomon. Ohio State football will be fine with or without Sean Wade, but, you sure as hell want Sean Wade in your program, and you sure as hell want Aubrey Solomon in your program.
Seems like a good way to finish it. Steve, we appreciate you stopping by. Let's hope Steve has another 10-star day to talk about next week. Have a great one, Bucknutters.
Appreciate it, guys. See you on the front row.